In this lesson, we're going to talk about what I call strategic front-end product creation. And this is really nothing more than designing your front-end product, your product that's going to be put in the hands of a brand new customer so that that product fulfills the objectives of a good front-end product. So what are the objectives when creating your front-end product? Well, the first objective is that it fulfills on the product hook and promise. We already talked about developing your hook and developing your promise. Well, of course, the product that you now put in the hands of a new customer needs to fulfill on that. If you're developing an information product, if it is a content-driven product, well, of course, that content needs to fulfill on the hook that you presented in your marketing. And whatever it is that you are teaching, showing, sharing, whatever process, whatever method, whatever system, it needs to be designed, of course, to fulfill on the promise that you made for that particular product. The next objective is that it delivers value. And if you are presenting an information product, it needs to be stellar content. You've got to recognize that the front-end product is the first product that a prospect has invested in, right? This is a brand new customer that we're talking about. This is their first experience with you. This is their first exposure to you and your content. And when you understand that, the front end is designed to create a new customer so that you can plug that customer into the back end. In other words, so that you can make that new customer additional offers for more products and more value. Well, the front end product then needs to be stellar. It needs to be fantastic. It needs to blow them away in terms of the quality and depth of content that you are providing. The last thing you want to do is promise to deliver a certain level of content and then not fulfill on that. Because by doing that, you've basically ruined the entire purpose of the front end, which is to create a customer and to create a long-term customer. So you want to make sure that when you are putting a product in the hands of a new customer, that it is stellar content. That's why your front-end product needs to be fantastic. As well, the front-end product should exceed new customer expectations. That means that the look and feel, the layout, the entire experience with the content needs to exceed customer expectations. Your goal when designing your product, not just the content, but the actual look and feel of the content, the branding, the layout, the colors, the margins, etc., is to make sure that you exceed new customer expectations, is to make sure that you set yourself apart from everybody else in the marketplace so that customers see that they're not only getting stellar content from you, but that the actual experience with the content is just fantastic and that you are over-delivering value, right? And we're going to talk about how you over-deliver value later on in the six-figure funnel formula. But for now, I just want you to think about how can you exceed new customer expectations. The next objective is that you provide a stellar buying experience. And what I mean by this is that the actual experience, the process by which a customer places their order and then gets access to the content should be fantastic. There shouldn't be any gaps in the process. There shouldn't be any information that's left out. You want to make sure that the buying experience is fantastic. A great example of making this happen is going the distance when providing, let's say, a thank you message or a welcome message, using video instead of just throwing together a thank you page, having a page that is branded, that looks good, that provides the new customer with a great experience, rather than going with a plain white page that says thank you, check your email for information. It's all about, with this brand new customer, delivering a stellar buying experience. Now, if you are selling information especially, you also want to provide a stellar consumption experience. What I mean by that is, first and foremost, of course, the actual delivery of the information. So how the information is being delivered to them. In an ideal world, you want to give them the opportunity to consume your information in a variety of different formats. Give them the ability to listen to audio online, to download audio, to watch the video, to download the video, to download a transcript, right? Give them a fantastic consumption experience. Go the distance with the deliverables to help them consume your information, to help them go through your information, because it's going through your information, as you're going to learn about shortly, that not only gives them a great experience, but it allows you to set up the sale for your first back-end offer. It allows you to create desire for the next offer that you're going to present to this new customer. If they don't consume your information, if they don't consume your product, the likelihood of them buying the next product goes down significantly. So it's our goal when delivering a product to a new customer to do everything that we can to get them to consume the product and to make that experience a great one. The next objective of a front-end product is to demonstrate your expertise in positioning. Remember, there's a vast difference between a front-end product, a product that's delivered to a new customer, and a back-end product. A back-end product is being delivered to individuals that already have a relationship with you, that already understand your expertise, that already understand your positioning. Well, on the front end, because our objective is to create a long-term valuable customer, part of delivering that content is establishing your expertise, is establishing your positioning within the content. And so I really want you to think about, and we're going to talk about this actually on the very next slide, but I want you to think about when you're creating your front-end product, not just being in product creation mode, but being in both product creation mode and marketing mode. See, one of the big mistakes that lots of new marketers make is that when they're marketing, they're in a marketing mindset. And when they're creating product, they're in a product creation mindset. Well, the A players, when creating products, maintain both. They recognize that in the product, they need to deliver stellar content and to fulfill on the hook and the promise. But they also recognize that every product in a sequence, every product in a funnel, every product in a business serves a marketing purpose. And there's no more important purpose for a front-end product than to, again, establish your expertise and positioning to help set up the sale for your next back-end offer. And so we're going to talk about that on the next slide, but understand that it's, again, about establishing positioning. And like I've already said, and I've drilled this into you, that the objective of the front-end product is to set up the sale for your first back-end offer, the next offer that you're going to make to new customers. So let's talk about some simple techniques for setting up the back-end sale, or what is commonly referred to as pre-selling. These are the things that I want you to think about when you are strategically creating your front-end product. How do you pre-sell new customers on the next offer that you're going to make to them without ruffling feathers, without annoying them, without blatantly selling or blatantly marketing, right? How do you do that? Well, there's a couple of different ways to do that. Number one, simply making nonchalant, offhand comments about the next product and what's taught in that product or what you share in that product is a way to create curiosity and create interest. And so, even if you said something like, one of the things that I teach in my XYZ system is how to do ABC. Now in here, I want to talk to you about how to do A, right? And so it's a nonchalant comment about the back-end product, right? And it's kind of very similar to alluding to the back-end product. Often you might say something like, this is a topic that I go really deep in, or I dive deep into in XYZ product. But for now, what I want you to understand is this, right? It's just alluding to the back end product. You're not selling on it. You're not blatantly getting into the benefits. You're not pitching them on it. You're simply alluding to the back end product. I already talked about referencing information provided in the back end product, right? Talking about a piece or a puzzle piece that you talk about more in depth in the back end product and referencing that piece in the front end. So maybe you talk about, that you spend an hour talking about this particular topic in the back end product, but for now you want to give them a 5-minute overview of what they need to understand to get started, right? That's a way that you're referencing information. You're referencing to the new customer the fact that there is a more in-depth explanation of this topic in the back end, but you're still delivering information to them that is of value in the front end product. Of course, referencing client customer results from the back end product. Now, this isn't just stating a blatant customer testimonial. This is, let's say you reference information from a back-end product. Again, you say, you share with them, maybe you talk about XYZ topic in the front end. And you say, now, this is really just scratching the surface. This is a topic that I talk about for 90 minutes in one of my other products called, ABC Backend. But for now, I want you to understand how powerful this is. I got a client, Joe Smith, who went through both this training and ABC Backend training. And within 1 month, he experienced LMNOP. And so please understand the power of this strategy. Right? You see how I did that? I referenced information in the back end, and then I referenced a client customer result or outcome that they experienced from that. It wasn't a blatant pitch. It wasn't a blatant testimonial. In fact, the way, in that example, the way I just shared it with you, it seems like an educational piece. It seems like what I'm trying to do is to drive home the value of what it is that I just shared with them. But really what you are doing is pre-selling on this back end. You're creating interest, you're creating excitement, you're creating curiosity, and that's what we're trying to do. And finally, the last basic way of pre-selling is to give useful but incomplete extra information. Now, when I say extra information, what I mean is that when you give useful but incomplete information, it cannot be information that you promise to give them when they bought the front end product. In other words, you can't promise to tell them the 5 steps of XYZ and then only share with them 4 steps in the front end product, teasing them to buy the back end. You can't do that. That'll certainly piss off a lot of customers. This is extra information. This is if you promise to share with them how to, let's say, grow tomatoes, beautiful big red, tomatoes. And while you were talking about that, you also said to them, while we're talking about tomatoes, let me give you a quick little tip on how to grow, beautiful roses. Now, there are really 5 techniques to growing beautiful roses. I just want to share with you 2 of them right now so you can get started doing this. Boom. And so it's useful, right? Because it's valuable information about growing roses, let's just say, or something else that relates to tomatoes. But it's not information that you promise to give them in the front end product. And so it is extra information that you then that you give, but it's incomplete, and you reference the fact that you talk about all 5 in the the roses training, if the roses training was your first back end. Hopefully that makes sense. What this is doing is we are planting seeds in the new customer's mind for and about the back end without blatantly pitching, selling, or marketing to them. And that is how we set up or begin to set up the sale of the back end, the first back end in your sequence.